Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are reacting to episode 20 of series 1 of Vinland Saga. We actually only have 4 more episodes until series 1 is done. After this, 3, which is insane. I didn't realize how short series 1 was. And then we have series 2, but God knows if there's ever going to be a series 3, because from what I can gather, it's been a long while coming, so we may just be waiting a very long time for a series 3, but it would be really unfortunate if they didn't conclude this because it has been such a phenomenal show so far. So I am looking forward to seeing how series 2 plays out, but then it's going to make me really sad if we never get a series 3, but it is what it is. We'll roll with that when we know more. But I think somebody said before that the manga has been finished or is finishing, so maybe they're going to do more seasons once the manga is actually complete, which would kind of make sense, but it's also really unfortunate that there's been such like a long gap between series 2 and series 3, but apparently also not uncommon with anime. From what some people have said, they had to wait like 3 or 4 years between seasons for Attack on Titan. I think it was like a ridiculously long, maybe it was 2, maybe I'm exaggerating, but maybe I just have to be patient. Maybe. But I still have some things to look forward to, like the free run series 2 in January, which is next month. Come around quick. I'm really excited. It's next month. And also Apothecary Diaries in October of next year, which is so long away, but it's probably going to roll around quicker than I think it does. But we left off the previous episode with Thorkel joining Canute and Askeladd. We had already seen him join Canute prior. We kind of knew that was already ongoing, but they are now banded together to go and take down Canute's father so that Canute can take his place, essentially, which is going to be very, very interesting how they wrap that up in the next couple of episodes, unless this is going to be a longer plot point for series 2. Not entirely sure, but we'll see. I am glad that Askeladd has cleared the air with Canute, that Canute can at least now trust him. There is no secrets. He has told him that he was behind Ragnar's death, and Canute has now only accepted him so long as everything he does is also in Ragnar's name and benefits Ragnar, because it's the least of what that man deserves. Without further ado, we're going to get into episode 20. Oh, Floki looks stressed. Oh, he knows he's no match for Thorkel. But it's not impossible, Floki. It happened. He can't believe it. He's serving his future king. Look at Canute. He's so confident. Oh, he knows that's not true. Oh. I wonder if we're going to see Canute actually interact with his dad then in this episode. But he has every intention of killing his father and taking his place. I mean, his father said he wanted war to harden him. And it has. Get them on side. He's like, this is such a good job. I'm so glad I followed you. Literally, as the words were coming out my mouth. I know Thorkel too well. Falls to Canute because his brother's too far away. Are they going to ask Thorfinn to do it?
俺はあんたの手下になった覚えはね。
He looks really conflicted on the idea of assassinating his father. I think even though he knows his father doesn't love him, he still loves his father to some degree.
女様のすべてを天空の高みから見下ろしておられるのだろう。許せぬ。
I relate to that
私
Canute
はこの地上に楽土を作るぞ。
very
平和
heavily as
豊
to
かな
why
生き
I
ることに苦しむ
turned
者た
away
ちの
from
理想郷
religion.
を神はきっと私を目で身元へ召そうとするだろう。だがその時私はこう言うのだ。
No.
もはや天の国も試練もいらぬ。我々の楽土は地上にある。とな。
Religion's such a complex thing. And I know I've talked about it in previous episodes, especially when we were talking about Anne, about my own sort of complicated religious background in terms of the older I got, the more I began to question how can you have a God that is loving, but yet there's so much suffering? Why would a God that truly loves all of humanity and all people allow this to happen? Solely for what? People aspiring for wisdom and knowledge. But why would a God be adverse to people having knowledge? Unless it's because with knowledge you can question the rules and regulations that God enforces, which then isn't benevolence, it's not kindness, it's a tyrannical dictatorship. If you don't like the idea of people questioning you, of people being open to challenging you, then it's not a kindness. It's keeping them naive for your own benefit, for your own desires. It's not love, it's selfishness. And that's why I always kind of found it really difficult to reconcile this idea that humanity was punished solely for disobeying God a single time and eating of the tree of knowledge, of gaining wisdom. Because why is it in gaining wisdom that we're suddenly treated as these sinful, awful beings? Why are we discarded from God's grace because we didn't follow a single rule? It sounds more like wanting blind obedience rather than allowing somebody to challenge and question your ideals and to walk their own path without it being dictated by you, without blind allegiance to your voice and your rules and your regulations. Why weren't humanity granted that opportunity? It's the fact that once we gain free will, we're seen as not being worthy when we're no longer able to just blindly follow everything that God commands and demands. We're suddenly these sinful beings that have to suffer the trials and tribulations of earth. So I think the older I got, the more it was very much like, this doesn't reconcile with how I feel. I don't feel like that's fair. And I don't think we should be promoting this ideal that in gaining knowledge and gaining free will, in being able to speak up and challenge, that we're suddenly cast out, that we're no longer worthy of love, that we're no longer worthy of respect, and that we have to live our entire lives to these often unrealistic high standards in order to achieve God's grace and love once more in heaven. I think it seems cruel and tyrannical rather than loving and kind and cherishing. So that kind of led to my disenfranchisement with religion, not to mention the amount of money that is earned by religion. And instead of that money being used to actually help those in need, it's almost hoarded by the churches and used to adorn them with idols and sanctified altars. And it's the display of wealth is often obnoxious. I love going to a good church and a cathedral. I love having a look around because I think they are beautiful craftsmanship. But at the same time, that also then just reinforces to me even further why I find it really difficult to be religious. Because if you can have people claiming money in the name of God to help those in need, to be charitable, and that money is going to adorning these churches, it's hard to want to be aligned with that system, not to mention also the way in which people who have committed horrendous acts against children in positions of religious power are hidden. And in hiding them and preventing them from being held accountable, they're also teaching others that this is normal, this is okay, that you can do that and get away with it. There's no justice for the victims, there's no coming to terms with what happened. And it's not just to do with that, but also the way in which unwed mothers here in Ireland were treated and what happened to their babies and the illegal adoption circuit that happened with America, where babies were taken from unwed mothers. Mothers were told their babies had died and their babies had actually been trafficked to America to be adopted by families over there. So I have a lot of complicated feelings with religion, and that is primarily from my own understanding of it in my country and also the questioning aspect of me when it comes to religious texts and religion in general. Of course, I will never judge anyone who is religious. Again, I think everyone has that freedom to pursue. I just wanted to give a bit more of my perspective and why I feel the way that I do. And I think I can relate to Canute quite strongly in that because he's still religious, but he is almost resentful and angry still. He's also questioning what is the purpose of religion if it's meant for people solely to suffer and face these tribulations in order to achieve paradise. He's saying, even if God granted me it, I would tell him that heaven is no longer the paradise that we need because our paradise is on earth. He is essentially saying that he will throw back paradise into God's face. So he is religious to some extent, but you can see him pulling away from it. It's no longer defining him, it's no longer defining his journey. He is becoming more resolute in his own decisions and his own purpose in life and following his own moral compass rather than having it dictated to him by religion.
そのためには鬼にもなろ
See, he's willing to turn against God
お
entirely.
手伝いいたします。
He will dismantle the system.
殿下、
But I can relate to him, and I think that's why I like Canute so much. Oh. Oh!
よくぞ戻った。嬉しいぞ、クヌート。
Are you though? Because
ありがた
you
きお
didn't
言葉
expect him to come
陛
back.
下よりお預かりした兵を失ってしまった。
どうした？はよ寄らぬか。
So he can get him into the ideal spot to assassinate him.
何があっても剣を抜いてはならんぞ。先に抜いた方の負けだ。これはそういう喧嘩だ。
It's a game of chess. If they draw their sword, he's gonna strike him down first. If they strike Canute, then they're gonna strike.
暗さに目が慣れてきたな。顔を見れば。止まれ。そこでよい。膝まず。
Look how decrepit he looks in comparison to how beautiful Canute is.
疲れた目だ。これがデーン人の王か。
アシュラット。
ラグナルはどうした？姿が見えぬが。
死にました。マーシアの地にて。
あれは誠の中心であった。形式抜きで話をしたいと思うておった。クヌートのみ立て。10歩前へ進め。
It feels like he's asserting his power and control by dictating how many steps he can take, when he can rise, when he kneels. Canute understands this because of his experience in court.
世の若き日に似ておる。
されば、我が心の内もお分かりでございましょう。子は親のなしを見て育つのです。よもや、お責めになりますまいな。
かつて
Oh.
若き日。
Thorfinn had that look of recognition on his face, and he's like, because he didn't do what his father wanted him to do.
それが王国のために良きことと信じたからだ。
And Canute thinks it's the best thing for this kingdom.
腹毛を使う気はねえったが、殿下よ。
敵の巣の中にいるってことを忘れなさんなよ。
He knows he's just playing his dad at his own
良
game.
きことをなせると思うておった。これをかぶるまでは
He's trying to psych him out.
かぶれば千の船、万の兵を統率できる。
Without even moving.
力が身に宿る。王冠の意志が使うのだ。
王冠が陛下に命じたというのですか。私を殺せと。
Oh?
王冠が王に命じるのはただ二つ。
He's directly confronting him.
力を
Damn.
使うことと力を増やすことだ。王冠はそなたを欲してはおらぬ。
What, did the crown tell you that? No, you decided that, you weird, decrepit old man. Crown didn't decide jack shit. You just don't want to give up your power because you think he's a coward and weak, and he's not. He'd be a better king than you.
そなたにコーンウォールの一部をやろう。そこで聖書でも読みながら平穏の日々を送るがよい。
そのお言葉も王冠が言わせているのですか。陛下。
陛下、失礼ながら、果たしてこのご沙汰は王冠の意志にかないましょうよ。
Son of Olaf because he's speaking to a Dane, but also probably because everything he's saying isn't going to be fully the truth. That he's going to be misleading.
心ある者が罰せられる道理がありましょうか。このご沙汰、新たな領地の割譲に
Oh, he's wily.
動揺を与えます。何とぞご再考を。
He's using diplomacy.
貴様の父が授けた名を申せ。
父は私に名を与えませんでした。
Oh. And not giving you a name, did he not claim you then?
ませた子かの。
Oh, fuck. He's having to restrain himself.
アシュラットがここまで怒るなんて。
Because he's like, how dare you refer to my mother as a slave?
そなたたちには褒美をやらねばならんな。世は明日ヨークに立つ。かの地にて宴席を設ける。褒美はそこで授けよう。
Why do I feel like this banquet's not going to happen and they're going to assassinate him either at the banquet or before the banquet? But he just saved Canute's life. This is a good lesson for Thorfinn.
肝を冷やしましたぞ、殿下。
Restraining himself despite how he
何を慌てること
feels.
がある。そなたの察する通り、王には今、私を殺すだけの大義名分がない。王の内懐はむしろ安全だろう。
And strike when he least suspects it.
スベン王は王冠の奴隷というわけだ。
Everyone's a slave to something. He's a slave to power.
少々警戒せねばならんな。
Yes. Asgard is very good with his words.
57杯目だ。バケモンだこいつ。
Jesus.
さっきからガムガムガムガム飲みやがって。誰だおめえは。
He's a monk,
真似た覚えねえぞ。
私はビリバルドです。
right?
お忘れですか。
It's the priest.
あのヒゲの赤いな。いくつだよ。
23です。
嘘だろ。20代前半。
I didn't even recognize him.
大将のお出ましだ。なんで58
That's crazy. I mean, monks make wine. They live on wine.
洞察力と先手を打つ行動力をお持ちです。
He's shrewd enough to know Askeladd is someone to watch.
次の手に転ずるあたり手強いですぜ。
But he has a weakness that can be
いずれ統制
exploited.
しても今ではない。
The crown is his weakness.
無事のご帰還お喜び申し上げます。
Ragnar's
ど
brother.
れほどに心配したことか。ほう、なんとも頼もしい風格ですな。グンナルと申す。
So you're not the discerning one. Ragnar's the discerning one.
ラグナルは死んだ。
は？
私のためにすまぬことをしたな。それから亡命はせぬ。
殿下。
そなたが諸国を奔走
So he was initially going to go into exile, but now he's refusing to do it. So that was their plan all along.
こんなところで。
構わぬ。むしろこの場は密談に良い。
お変わりになられた。
He's had no choice.
変わるさ。すべてを変えてゆかねばなら。
あの軍なるってのはいかんな。口ほど殿下への中心があるとも思えし。
Whilst everyone's having a good time, he's still hell bent on
わしは
practicing.
復讐に余念のないことで。
なんつうか、この先どの面してあやいいのか。
いったやーい当たった
なんか、兄者もあんなの
He's
好き
like
だし
mentally regressed.
よくもまあこんな真人間が俺の手下になったもんだぜ。ビョルンは長く持たねえよ。傷が腹渡まで達してる。昔からの手下はトルフィンだけってことになるな。再出発にはちょうどいい。
腕は
金だ、持ってけ。
いらねえよもらう理由がねえ。
いいから
Water
受け
under the
取れ。
bridge.
ロギンが多くと困ることはねえだろうが。
ありがたく。あれなんだよくれんのかくれねえのかどっちだ
He
よ
is. He just needs to taunt you first.
二度と剣を握るな。羊を飼い、嫁をもらって、
Be a
ガキ
better
をこさ
man.
えてベッドで死ね。これから先、おめえを戦場で見かけたときが。
I have such a complicated relationship with Askeladd. I really do. I love him, then I hate him, then I love him again, and then I hate him, and then I love him again. He's just very complicated. He's a very complex character. I'm sad to hear that Bjorn's not gonna live. I liked Bjorn. Leif, he's in York. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That means he's gonna run into Thorfinn. Oh, Leif could be the catalyst for Thorfinn making the journey home. But that means having to give up his desire for revenge. But I think this conversation that Canute was having with his dad, where he was saying children learn from their fathers, they watch what their fathers do, has made Canute kind of clock on that he hasn't really taken on board what his father was trying to teach him, his father's philosophy, and that it might force him to kind of have a bit of a reevaluation as to what his father wanted for him, and the life that he's currently leading is not that. It's as far from what his father wanted as he could possibly have gone. And I think seeing the way that Askeladd was able to restrain his anger, this murderous desire to kill that king after the way he just so dismissively spoke about his mother as if she was nothing. And she was everything to Askeladd. But his ability to hold it in, to pick his battles, to still maintain composure is a good lesson for Thorfinn, who can't do that because he's still so hot-headed, still so driven, to never backing down without realizing that that's actually worse in the long run. He actually needs to learn to pick his battles wisely, which he hasn't been doing because he struggles to do it. Whereas Askeladd has mastered that ability to hide what he's truly thinking and feeling behind this facade of well practiced words. He's very good with diplomacy, and that serves him and Canute in the long run. It was such a tense game of who is going to draw the sword first, but nobody did because Askeladd was able to defuse it by saying that it would look bad on him and bad on the crown if his son was killed rather than rewarded for what he has accomplished, for what he's achieved. And he knows that. And this is the thing. He's a slave to the crown. He's a slave to reputation and what the crown means. He can't have the crown looking bad. And he has to concede and give Canute a celebration. But I think whether he makes it to that celebration is another thing, because they're going to get rid of him. They're going to ensure that he is taken out of the picture because he is a slave to power. He is a slave to the crown. The crown dictates all. He takes no responsibility. And Canute refuses to accept that that's a viable answer. He refuses to accept that there is no personal responsibility for the crown. The crown has a weight to it, of course, there's a responsibility, but you can't just shrug off the blame onto it by saying, well, this is what the crown demands, and I just fulfill what the crown asks for and what the crown wants. Canute knows that's not the case, which is why Canute will be a better king than his father. His father may be wise, his father may be fierce, but his father is also getting old and decrepit and is clearly not above murdering his own son. And Canute is aware of that because of his own experiences in court, which is how he knew to play this scenario. But he was also baiting him somewhat. He was showing his father that he's not a coward and he's not willing to back down from this, that he's not just going to accept this shit little gesture that he's given him of being exiled to Cornwall and reading his Bible, when what he wants now is to be a king, is to make a difference, is to be the change that this world needs to see. So it is great that we also saw what Ragnar meant quite a few episodes ago, where he was saying you just need to hold out a bit longer. It was for Gunnar to come back because Gunnar was investigating where essentially he could retreat to and be in exile and be safe and out of his father's reaches, where would offer him sanctuary. And Gunnar is now shocked because that's not what Canute wants. Canute doesn't want that life. Canute wants to be a king. He wants to be a leader of people, a leader of men. He's changed because the world has changed. He needs to adapt and accompany it in turn. He can't hide forever. He can't hide behind other men. He has to face what scares him. He has to be the change he wants to see, because if he just continues to run and hide, it's never going to come to fruition. I think that's all I want to say for now for this episode, but thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!